creating some sort of responsibility, because we're all media companies now, to make sure that we're much more thoughtful about what we draw our audience's attention to.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This is like first podcast in Dubai with like such an amazing person. So thank you for doing it.
My pleasure.
You've worked with Gary V, the Wu-Tang Clan, Tony Robbins, like the biggest names out there, which was super impressive. But I'm like, even beneath that, I feel like your philosophy is behind what you do. Like, it's not just so much attaching yourself to celebrity names for credibility, but I feel like there's real intention and philosophy behind everything. But I was curious for you to bring it back and kind of give the idea of like how you had the, let's say, the angle or the mindset to get yourself in a position where you're entering those rooms that most people may never enter, especially not to like bring forth their careers.
I couldn't tell you how I got into the rooms I got into.
Okay.
I can tell you the room that I started in.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Which was a living room above a shop where I was in one bed. In another bed was my sister, and in another bed was my uncle, my dad's younger brother. Then also in the house, you've got my mum and dad in another room. And in the second bedroom, you've got my grandma and granddad. So the room I started out in was 7 of us living in a 2-bedroom place above a shop.
Those are the best stories.
Most people, when they walk downstairs, they have a living room. 2/3 or 3/4 of our square footage downstairs was a shop. So when I say I was like born in it, I was born in a business, like a business was implanted into my house.
Yeah.
If anything, our home grew around the business.
Okay.
So that was my starting point. And obviously, you know, working class in the 80s, shopkeeper's son, times were tough, a lot of racism. UK was just adapting to this mass immigration that had just happened 5-6 years earlier. So everyone's not necessarily the friendliest. And yet at the same time as well, because I did grow up working class, as you know, working class people, poor people can also be some of the friendliest people and most loving people. So it really depends on who you catch when and, you know, what's going on in their lives. So that's where I started. So the only way for me was to get out of that. And I was conscious of that from my teenage years.
Okay.
Because as we got satellite TV in the house, and we started seeing what else is going on in the world, especially when you look at what's going on in America. You're watching TV shows like Saved by the Bell and Fresh Prince. Like, I think when people say like Make America Great Again, there is a nostalgia with early 90s America that makes you think, wow, that looks like a cool place to be.
Very true.
Beverly Hills 90210 and all that stuff. So I was like, well, there is a better world out there. I don't know how to get there. I don't know what steps to take. But I think for me, it was always about like making that progress. And inevitably that paralleled into my career as well, which got me into some of the rooms that you talked about.
Yeah. I'm curious about your early influences too, because I feel like those imprints, especially if you grew up in a shop or like you're around media and you were saying, like, what are the earliest maybe media influences that inspired you to move down the path that you moved down?
Magazines.
Yeah. I was big into magazines too.
Yeah.
Now it's like an extinct thing.
I know. Yeah, the most dense form of content you could get was magazines. You're talking about 70, 80 pages. And for me, I was reading The Source, Vibe, Hip Hop Connection. But at the same time, they only come out once a month. So then you've got to read other things. So I read things on like car stereos or home stereos or, comic books. So effectively, because I wasn't necessarily allowed to go out in the evening, and sometimes it could be a bit dangerous outside, like bullying and things of that nature. So my dad was like, well, you just got to stay home. So then I would just like over-consume content. I was that 1980s, early 90s TV addicted kid that would come in from school, and from like, around 4 o'clock until bedtime, I'm constantly in front of the TV. And there's only 4 channels. So sometimes you hit a home run and you get to watch what you want to watch. So you're watching The Simpsons and then Fresh Prince and then Blossom and God knows what else. And then the next thing you're watching some janky ass soap opera.
And you're still locked in.
Because you have no other option, right? There's no internet and there's no nothing at the time. So I think what happened was I was just forced to kind of eat across the buffet of media.
Okay.
And then it helped me recognize trends later on when we as normal civilians were able to create our own media.
I was going to say, like, it's crazy. I feel like back then, especially, consuming so much media was considered wrong. But I feel like those are the most creative people because you have so many reference points. And like people see the, like, even speaking about the people that you've worked with, it's like, oh, Wu-Tang Clan. And then there's like, it's just from so many different angles where I'm sure that stems from those early influences.
Yeah. I mean, imagine like the crazy thing about that time is, imagine seeing like Tony Robbins on TV or seeing like Wu-Tang Clan on TV. And then you fast forward a couple of decades and you're actually like in a room with them, working with them. It's kind of a bit, it's a bit surreal because there is no theoretical line that you can draw from growing up in working class Manchester to ending up in those rooms in Abu Dhabi or, Portugal or New York or wherever the case may be. But sometimes it is that way because a rising tide raises all the boats. It's not as if, broadband internet, high-speed internet, smartphones, and so many other things haven't given us like a ton of opportunities. I think I was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I was able to connect the dots. And then, this is where I am now.
Yeah. You actually had something interesting you said about dots, and I forget it, but I wanted you to repeat it. It's like you said Steve Jobs, the dots connecting backwards, but you like flipped it somehow.
I think about the beginning of my career, which would be the first 20 years, 25 years, as collecting dots.
Okay.
So I spent time in the hospitality industry. I spent time in the sports industry. I spent time in music and celebrity entertainment. And every single time I would walk into rooms, I'd be like, oh, that's how that works. Oh, this is how that works. Interesting. Maybe there's nothing I'll ever be able to do with that information. Maybe I'll be able to apply it into my own life immediately. But then what tends to happen is that things compound. And as they compound, you go from collecting the dots to connecting them. And I think one of the best examples of that is that, we have a client that spends a decent amount of money with our agency, and they only bring us in for a specific kind of activity. And it's the kind of activity where they've got huge celebrities coming in.
Okay.
And the kind of work that we do is not necessarily special. It's content, it's filming, it's production. But there's a certain way that you have to be in the room with these people to make sure that they're comfortable, they're not jolted, they give 100% to your client. And I think that's a skill that we've picked up over time. And it's as a result of spending 25 years as a DJ and going out to work one night, whether you're going to watch a show or meet somebody and bumping into like a Amy Winehouse or going to a festival and bumping into a Pharrell, all as a young guy. But then you have these little moments where, of course, in the moment you're like kind of like loving it because you're a fan of music and you get to actually interact with an artist that you like. But there are also things going on around those people in terms of like security protocols, how they enter the building, how they exit the building, what they're into. The craziest thing about working with people like this is realizing how normal and human they are. And I think once you realize that these are human beings too, well, then you just need to show up as a human being and be the best one you can be around them. And now all of a sudden you find yourself like engaging in business relationships with people.
I love the connecting, or not the collecting dots, because I feel like there's such a pressure from the young age to figure it all out, to know what you want to do, to choose your path. And it's like, collecting data is an important part of the process. So I feel like if more people adopted your philosophy where the process is collecting dots instead of figuring it out from the jump, they would be like, I just feel like mental health would be in a better place too.
Yeah, I'll make it easy for anybody listening. People might not be as familiar with my saying of collecting the dots and then connecting the dots. That's fine. But many people are familiar with the saying, if you don't win, you've not lost, you've just picked up a lesson. That lesson is the dot. So if you feel like there's no such thing as losing, there's just a lesson, that lesson is the dot. So you've collected a dot. What you don't know is when you're going to have that aha moment where two dots connect. You're like, hang on a second, I learned a whole bunch about this over here and I learned a bit about this over here. And this room that I happen to be in requires me to use both of these data points. And if I apply them right now, whilst this moment is open in the vortex, it could change my life. And I've just had those several times happen.
I love that moment that's open in the vortex.
Yeah.
Would you be able to explain that a little bit more? Because I feel like for me, who's somebody who's spiritual and reads a lot of personal development books, I'm like, I'm right on it. But for somebody who's not, how would you explain like it opening in the vortex? Or is it like a little bit too abstract?
No, I think there's just moments where you're like, oh shit, this is the time to go. Like this is the go time.
Yeah.
There's no setting yourself on a starter block when it comes to opportunities in life. When you think about the analogy of like racing, there's a period of time where you're called to the starter block, you put your feet in the starter blocks, you bend down, you got your fingers on the floor and you're waiting for the gun to go. I think in life, if you're going to be opportunistic, you can just be going through life and then you just hear that starter gun go pop. And you weren't expecting to race that day, but from that second onwards, you've got to run. I'll give you an example of when I got into retail. I was probably 18, 19 years old. I was in a store. I was obsessed with mobile phones because I used to read a lot of technology magazines. And there was a time where I was in a retail store and the manager came out and said, hey, and then mentioned some random brown guy's name. Are you here for the interview? And I was like, yep. And then I went into the interview room. We started talking. I let him know about how passionate I was about mobile phones because I happened to be in the store looking for a mobile phone for myself. This would be like in the late 90s. And I said, I'm not the person, that you asked for, but I could do this job. And another great thing about that particular time is that there were so many people hiring for like retail technology, because all of the people that sold fax machines and toasters didn't know how to sell mobile phones. All of like the best salespeople in the store in the early 90s, imagine they're 30, 40 years old. They don't know about mobile phone technology. So there's just a moment where the rubber hit the road. And as I was just randomly looking at phones, being like, oh, I've seen this in a magazine, or how much does this cost? The door opens and someone says, are you here for the interview? That's the gun going off.
Okay.
Now the question is, do you recognize that that's the starter gun going off? And do you run immediately? Because for some people, they'll be like, oh, that's not me. And then they might go home and be like, what if I'd said it was me? I think I'm just the kind of person who's like, if you don't try, you don't know what's going to happen. And to be fair, there's no real downside. I mean, what's going to happen? He might say to you, no, I'm not looking for you. I'm looking for somebody else. But sometimes the vortex is open and you just run through it.
I feel like that's like really engaging with life. I find something that I've done in the past that's been a mistake is thinking there's going to be a next time. And then as time goes on, realizing, oh, that moment and that open in the vortex never came again. So like, I think you almost have to take inventory of all your mindsets. And like, this is a great one to adopt, because the one that I've been holding where like, oh, I don't feel ready. Like that's been my thing. I don't feel ready. And it'll come again later. Not all the time.
Yeah, I have that regret. I had that regret as recently as I think it might have been last year. So I did a shoot with Allen Iverson, the basketball player. I don't follow basketball. So I only know his name from referencing like rap songs, right?
Yeah,
so then,
me too, kind of.
Yeah. So we get this message like, okay, Allen Iverson, da da da. I was like, all right, fine, we'll go do it. So I start asking my friends. I'm like, who is he? Is he special? Because I know the name Shaq and Magic Johnson and all that other stuff. Jordan. They were like, yeah, he's in that league, in that conversation. So I go to the shoot. We're doing our thing, talking, whatever, waiting for him to go on stage and do what he does. And then afterwards went out and actually like threw him the basketball and watched him do his thing on the basketball court. And then I continued to learn about him after the shoot. And after the shoot, I was like, all right, whilst I'm not necessarily like a celebrity dude, I really probably should have took a picture, because all of my friends would have appreciated it. I was with a friend of mine, Mad Skills from Virginia, phenomenal rapper. And I said to him, I was like, I just did the shoot with Allen Iverson. He was like, yo, this guy's like a really, like he's like top of his game, like legend. And they were both from Virginia, so they knew each other. And he was like, oh yeah, you should take a picture. So I was like, but it doesn't matter. I'm not one of those like thirsty to take a picture guys, but also I do feel like I was just around greatness, but didn't realize. And actually, on balance, would I have appreciated it maybe in 20 years' time when I'm in my retirement home and I go through the pictures and print them out and put them on the wall?
Yeah, sometimes you got to do things for your older self. Sometimes you got to do things for your younger self.
Yeah, exactly.
But just to say, like, kind of a missed moment to just like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, if you see a moment, just move on it.
Well, it's funny. Someone was even saying, like, do you not want to, like, people were looking at me, like, in the room, because I had so much access to him. They're like, do you not want to take a picture? I was like, oh, no, I think he's coming back in 6 months. I'll just do it then. Because, you do see people a few times over, right? You're like, I'll catch it next time. It's a hectic shoot. There's lots of enthusiastic people trying to meet him. So I was like, I'll just get it next time. But, it is what it is. It's not like a life regret, but, there's this kind of moments where, when I guess more what it is one of my boys just like ridiculing me, being like, yo, what, you met the dude and you didn't take a picture? I was like, I'd have recognized who it was if he was a rapper or somebody who I was like, if it was like a part of the world that I was really enthusiastic about, then I'd have been like, oh dude, I've got to get a picture whilst I'm here. But in that situation, it was a missed one.
It also seems like you have so much confidence. I don't know if it's like growing up in an entrepreneurial space, but like, have you always been like that?
Yeah, it's weird. Anybody who meets my mum and watches how I engage with her, and my dad too, they're like, well, these guys are like your biggest fans. So whilst I can't remember everything from the beginning,
foundation,
I've always had people telling me like, yeah, you're great, you can do it, try. If it doesn't matter if you don't win, it's fine. So I think I have to give that to my parents straight away. Yeah.
So what do you think? Because I feel like so much of what you do is like connection and community, and I feel like sometimes things are built from a sense of void, like you feel something missing, so you create it. But for somebody who I feel like is so good socially and has that confidence, like, were you missing a sense of community? Is that why you went down that path?
No. So if you take a look at like My Friends, Your Friends, for example, right? So we're 6,500 people worldwide. We've done it in Toronto, so big up Canada, New York, London, and Dubai, 20 events. My philosophy around when you see these brands that I've created is that if I was given it, I'll give it away. And if I earned it, I'll keep it.
Interesting.
So what I mean by that is I've always had a lot of friends, always. And of course, when you're like a DJ and you work in the creative space, or you're an entrepreneur, especially if you've done it as long as I have, like 25 years, you obviously pick up a whole bunch of really good relationships almost by default. When I go around to other cities, whether it be New York or London or even emerging cities like Dubai, you realize that when people do move to places like this and they get their studio apartment or they get their one bed, they are lonely.
Yeah.
They are loving the opportunity that a Dubai gives and the people that they meet here. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they've got plans.
No.
You know, or Saturday, when they wake up, they've got someone to play paddle with. For me, I've always had that. So when I thought to myself, okay, this gift that I've been given through no choice of my own, through, you know, just through pure luck of being born the way that I was born and finding it easy to make friends and having confidence, how can I scale that and give that away? Okay. So in central London, you've lived in London for 3 months, right? You said. So you know King's Cross is where all the tube lines go.
Okay.
All the underground lines go to King's Cross. So I booked a bar there. And I remember when I was living in Dubai and London, when I'd go to London, people would say, yo, let's meet up. Let's get a coffee. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it got to the stage whereby so many people wanted to meet that I was like, if I take every coffee, I basically won't get any time to spend with my family. So I said, okay, I'm going to be in this bar at this time. If you want to meet me or you want to meet anybody that I know in my network, come along. And I called it my friends, their friends. So you'll meet my friends and you'll meet their friends.
Okay.
And then people came along and it allowed me to scale my friends group effectively to people that had less friends. Not like, they're not like less cool or less this or anything. They just don't have the deep network that I have. So I was like, if I bring my network all together in one room and then you come and meet them and you come and meet me, then effectively you'll pick up, you know, half a dozen extra people that you may be able to go and, you know, do sports with or go on holiday with or invest in a business with or just go for coffee with. And then I realized the penny drop moment was like, if I can go to London randomly and say, hey, I'll be in this bar at this time and 80 people show up, what if in Dubai, instead of me being the host, I had 15 co-hosts? So the first one I did, I think, was 12 or 15 co-hosts. It all gets into a blur after a while. But I was like, okay, I'll take these co-hosts from different backgrounds. They all came. They brought their friends. I made sure that everybody could come to the venue for free and get the first drink on the house. And I made sure that all the drinks were like super affordable the whole night, happy hour. And it worked. And so then we did it again in a second venue with different co-hosts. Okay. And we invited everyone from the first event. Then we did it again for a third time with totally different co-hosts and invited everyone from the first two events. And you can see how it created this like community flywheel. And off the back of that, you've got My Friends, Your Friends, which has done a lot karmically for the city of Dubai, but also it's meant that I've never had to do basically any marketing for any of my businesses or brands because so many people know me that I can just dip into that network and say, hey, I was actually looking for somebody that could do this. Could you help me with it? Or I'm looking to hire somebody, or I'm looking to sign a client.
Okay. So you were seeing it as a business opportunity, actually in a few different angles, like to expand your network, but then also is My Friends, Your Friends a business in itself? Or were you like approaching it as almost like a nonprofit?
It's more than a nonprofit, it's a charity. I pay for it out of my own pocket.
Know.
No, it's not a registered charity.
Okay.
It's the charity of Raj Kotecha.
Okay.
The debit card of Raj Kotecha. Like, I never thought about it as a business. I did think to myself that one thing that I know as a result of being a nightlife promoter in the 90s and a DJ after that is that no matter what problem you're facing, if you can get a bunch of interesting people in a room together, you can now build this tribe of people that can help you solve that problem. There's no way that if you put a bunch of interesting people in the room together that A, they won't be grateful for meeting those other people, and B, they won't credit you as being the one person in that room that put extra effort into coordinate and bring them all together. So when I committed to Dubai in 2017, I moved here mid-January, and this event happened the 3rd of March because my magic trick is doing events. I know how to do events. Okay. So within 6 weeks or so of landing here, I did the original My Friends, Your Friends, and that's really one of those magical things that a spark happened and then it was just easy to scale it. But bear in mind, I started off in events in 97, 98. Okay.
Even with the DJing, like you learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is, if you take like doing events for school and then doing nightlife events at university, this idea for My Friends, Your Friends came around 19 years into me being a practitioner of events. So a magic moment like that might not come in the first decade. I actually find it difficult.
A lot of dot collecting.
a lot. And I actually find as well, you know, when you meet people today, especially young people that have had like a lot of instant gratification, the if you think about like life on a spectrum, the more events happen, the more of life you think you've covered. So at our age, things happened quite rarely. So you kind of like go to university, then you graduate, then you get your graduate job, then you get your first promotion. But all these things are staggered 6, 18 months apart. Nowadays, kids are like, oh, I did drop shipping, then I did fashion influencing, then I had my own food blog. So they think that time has sped up because there's more events happening in less time. But the actual length of time hasn't sped up. And so when people say to me, I've been doing this for 5 years, 6 years, I'm like, you haven't started. Like you're not in the game, respectfully. You're at the starter block at year 10 on anything. If you've committed to something for 10 years, that means you're pretty much able to enter a room and have a conversation with somebody that's been doing it for 20 or 30, maybe not at the same level, but you have paid your dues. You know? For all the technology and all the convenience that like tech has done in terms of speeding up time, how fast you can get food, how fast you can learn something, it's not actually sped up time itself. And so you need to put that real time
just
in.
Feels different. Yeah. I'm curious though, for an event like with that many people are showing up with a particular intention for it to be successful, like year after year. They're getting something out of it that they can count on. Like, how do you curate the energy and like, I guess the like-mindedness is friends of friends, but like just making sure that everybody that's there is there for the right intention, maintains that energy. Like,
well, there's two things. Number one, I straight up tell them.
Okay.
When I'm, I'll get on the bar, stand on the bar, like in the Burj Khalifa. There'll be 500 people there. And I'll be like, listen, this is not about dating. It's not about biz dev. Like, you're not here to meet your future partner or approach somebody with a business card in your hands. Imagine that you're in my kitchen at a house party. I'm doing a housewarming. If you were in my kitchen grabbing a drink at my housewarming party, would you hit on somebody hard? No, you wouldn't, because you know you're in a space where this is Raj's house. And so if you do something awkward, it's not going to be too long before he finds out and corrects you. And it's the same in that room, because those 15 co-hosts, I've hand-selected. And the people that have come with them. Or they've come to a previous event, which means they already know how it works. So I think there's that. And then there's also the fact that people don't know, that have never been to the event, how it works. I explain to them, I've got 15 co-hosts. I don't get it. How do you choose them? They ask these questions. And I'm like, just come and you'll understand. And after they come to the event, they're like, I just didn't know what to expect, but it's such a chill vibe. And to be able to transplant that genre of event, like a housewarming, into, the top of the opera house, that juxtaposition gives people like insane enjoyment, but also insane like relief. And what's really interesting is that when we've surveyed people, whether it's formally or anecdotally, you ask them, why do you come to My Friends, Your Friends? And it's 50-50. 50% come to meet the friends they always meet at My Friends, Your Friends. 50% come to meet new people. So if you're like, why are you here? They're like, I'm here to meet new people. But I'm like, but you've been here 4 times already. They're like, yeah, and I always come to meet new people. You ask other people, why are you here? They're like, I'm here to hang out with those guys because I only hang out with them at this event and I really love it. It's like our thing where we meet.
The community.
Yeah. But it's a looking glass. Isn't it interesting that if you've got 500 people in a room, 250 are there to meet new people, 250 are there to meet the same people. It doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say somebody needs to have in place? Like, even for me, I'm like, I feel like I would love to get to the podcast to a place where I could have like curated dinners, something like more low key, but kind of an event. What do you think needs to be in place before you even go on that journey?
Just a restaurant and 6 people.
Okay.
What would stop you from doing that now?
I guess like who to invite, how to choose the right people.
Okay, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay, now who else?
Okay,
like you'll know like 6 people.
Okay. So you just choose like whoever, and then I guess you have to figure out the structure of what it's going to be. But okay,
you just got to do some scenario planning in your head. Like you've got to be real and say, do I think that these 6 people around a table would get along, and if so, why so?
Okay.
And to do that, you have to think critically, and the shortcut to thinking critically is just writing.
Okay.
So if you get like an A5 or A6 piece of paper, or actually the other way, right, A2 piece of paper or A1 piece of paper, and actually write down and be like, would this person get along with this person? This person's into horse riding and whatever, like glass
choose
painting,
where they're seating.
Yeah. And then figure it out, and then actually just go on to like Chat GPT and be like, okay, these are the 6 people I'm inviting.
Yeah.
These are their profiles. I'm thinking about common themes or ice-breaking conversations to put on the table, and then just follow that, and you'll pick up everything else after that. I know when I do these things sometimes, and I did one in London last year, and I remember like there was only 6 of us at the table, but there was a moment where I was like, I was talking to somebody diagonally across. So there's 3 people on this side, 3 people on this side. I was talking to somebody, I was on the far left, I was talking to somebody in the middle opposite. And then the person on the far right of me was talking to somebody on the far opposite right. And nobody was able to catch their vibe. So I was like, yo, actually, none of us are gonna be able to achieve anything with this conversation. Maybe we'll stop talking, my friend and I. You guys go into what you want to go into and we'll listen. And then if what we want to say is still relevant, then we'll throw that in at the end. But what you don't want is like, you don't want people that can't read the room and read each other. So you really want to have a little think about that. But I would highly recommend, if you can put people in a room together, even if it doesn't always work out perfectly, it's a great hack for like getting ahead in life.
I love it. That was great advice. I feel like when I first asked, you're like, well, just do it. But you just had so many good points.
Yeah. And you know, there are certain people that have really strong points of view. You want to make sure that you have to make sure that if there's a general rule, make sure that the people you invite are open-minded. They're not fully formed on their opinions. And they are people that would self-admit that they are work in progress.
Love that.
Because that means that they'll then leave a bit of space for somebody with an opposing view to share their opposing view without necessarily turning it into, I'm out of here, F this, you know what I mean?
Which happens at dinner parties all the time.
Yeah. You know, you've got to be like, I don't necessarily agree with like, you know, certain political leaders, but I can sit at a table with people that do agree with them or even proponents of them. I have to vote with my time in the future, which is, if I know that this person's going to be there again, is that an avoid for me because I know how it plays out? Or is it something that I want to go back to, put myself through again with the hope that it will help me evolve?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about creative content agency, because that's a whole beast in itself. Because I mentioned in the beginning that you actually have philosophies. Like, it's not just about pumping out content or getting these contracts. Like, I work in the agency world too, and a lot of times when I'm speaking to clients, they're like, oh, like I've been through hell with agencies, because they sound great on the pitch call, they have all the nice case studies, and then they stop caring about them the minute the contract sign. But like, you actually have philosophies, you teach, you have a program. So I wanted to get into a bit of your philosophies. The first, there's 2 that I was thinking, the 4 Ps and the ACE.
Oh, you like ACE?
I want to hear about both. Yeah, I want to hear about the philosophies.
So the 4 Ps is an aha moment that I had when I was putting my website together. Anybody who has done that scrappy, I'm starting an agency, AKA I have to build my own website, has had to go through that period of time of critical thinking and reflection, which is I've got to put my website together. So at the time when there was a certain point where I was putting the website together where I had to think about all the projects that I'd done. And as I wrote them down, all the different sectors that I'd worked in, I noticed common themes. I was like, in all these situations, I've planned the content and I've produced it and I've published it and I've helped promote it or promoted it. The reason why I was able to even come up with the 4 Ps is because I came into this industry in the early 2000s where anybody who was coming into this industry had to do everything.
Okay.
So right now, you'll go to one agency for organic social, you'll go to somebody else for paid social, you'll go to another agency that does TV commercials, you'll go to another one that works with influencers. Everything is highly fragmented. When I registered the business in 2006, I was getting laughed out of rooms for even suggesting that the executive team in that organization should even be on a LinkedIn, for example. So at that time, someone like me, a kind of like gun for hire, would do all of these 4 things. So as I wrote it down, I was like, well, this is what we do from a planning perspective. Here's how we produce. Of course, we'll publish it for you because nobody in your company wants to publish social media content, and then we'll promote it or we'll help you promote it. Then I was like, goddamn, 4 Ps. I was like, home run.
Yeah.
So it stuck. And then what was really amazing about it is, and I challenge anybody to kind of like counter me on this, it's impossible. If you take any aspect of content, anything, whether you're talking about metadata and keywords and hashtags and thumbnails and descriptions and copy and like LinkedIn statuses, everything you talk about in the whole world of content will distill down into one of 4 buckets. You're either planning, producing, publishing, or promoting. So the example I always give is, even if you take like Van Gogh, he had to plan the painting in his head before he produced it onto a canvas, before it was published onto an art gallery wall, before the art gallery could promote the location of that. The only difference is that today, the art gallery wall location is a YouTube URL or a TikTok URL. Now, what also makes the 4Ps interesting is that anytime anybody ever comes to me with a problem and says, well, we've tried social, but it didn't really work, or we've tried this initiative, but it didn't really work, we've tried working with influencers, I just say, listen, calm down. Let's really look at this through 4 vectors. Are we talking about an issue with planning, producing, publishing, or promoting? And I'll take them through some of the essential steps or the most common characteristics of each one of those steps. And more often than not, they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, that's where I'm messing up.
Okay.
And we can fix it there and then on the spot.
Okay.
And then where we come in is we say, now that you know what the solution is, we obviously would recommend that you go and do it for as cheap as possible. But if you find that you can't do it, we have an agency over here. We've got talented people that have worked with me for a long period of time that know how I think and know how I structure and how I approach things. If you hand it over to us for a fee, then we'll fix it for you. But what we do say to people, which I think is really important, is because we do come in and fix and launch brands, and that's really what we're really good at, we do say to people, like, you shouldn't work with us like super long term. Okay. We've had some clients that have, spent 24, 30 months with us, but they had a lot of money in very little time. What we say is, if you work with our agency, I'm not worried at all about you hiring us. I'd rather work with you to help you figure out when you fire us.
Interesting.
Like in that 6 to 12 month window, we have to have a conversation about you letting us go.
I love that.
Or us helping you hire somebody, and the playbook that we've been writing about you, about your brand whilst we've been working with you, let's spend a few months taking them through that playbook and then hire them internally. Because it's always cheaper to hire an internal resource than it is to hire my agency, because we're expensive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'll get more done in less time, and then we will proactively hand that over. And I think that's got to do with the DNA of our organization as well, is that if we become too grounded in one organization, then we stop evolving, because we want to be on to the next thing as well. We want to know like where the trends are and where things are going. I'll give you an example. As part of the Undeniable Social Proof program, the USP program, one of the things that we suggest, one of the media types that we suggest is case studies. So we have a pillar called evidence-based content, and case studies is in there. And when I talk about case studies, I'm like, I think I know everything I need to know about case studies. And then all of a sudden, you've got people online that are doing case studies about things that they've not done.
Right.
So a typical case study would be, I would approach you for business and I would say, and here's a case study of somebody I've done it before. Here's some of the metrics. Here's the brief we were given. Here's some of the outcomes that we worked towards. Here's some unexpected outcomes that were nice things that happened along the way. And this is our case study. But now you've got people that are building traction, sharing other people's case studies. So if you go on Instagram right now, you'll find somebody who's just holding a little $100 mic going, here's how Aloe did this in 36 months, or here's how On Running did this and built a community. And they're doing reverse engineered case studies of brands that they didn't work on. Does that mean that they could have done it? Probably not. But what it does mean is that person on that green screen has the ability to deconstruct and think critically and rationally about what has happened, and therefore might be a good person to talk to if you want it to happen to you.
Very interesting. I know somebody who's killing it doing that right now.
Yeah, the hands-off third-party case study.
Yeah, that's his whole brand, deconstructing the marketing behind like shoe releases. So,
have you seen this one fella from New Zealand or Melbourne, or God knows, I think he's from Melbourne. He's cool, so he must be from Melbourne. His name's Eugene Brandstrat.
No.
This kid is so smart.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable. And all he does is he just green screens. He's popping around the screen. He's basically got a whole bunch of static images in the background. But goddamn, this guy's brain is really special.
Yeah.
Yeah, worth following. I'll text it to you. Yeah.
But so you think that approach is a good approach for brand building, probably even if you're starting out. Like if you have a critical eye and you can speak about a subject, you didn't have to have the 10, 20 years of experience, you can position yourself online.
100%, because think about what you do at university. Your professor hands over a document to you and says, all right, listen, I want you to give me a case study on this. It's got to be done by next Tuesday. Well, you go away, you do all the research, you deconstruct it, you come up with your thought process, you come up with your rationale, then you hand it over to your professor, who then gives you their opinion, their single opinion, and gives you a grade, A+, A minus, B+, B, B minus, etc. It's one person. Now you do all that thought work, speak it into your phone, and then let the people decide if they agree that that's the reason why Nike's share price has gone down. It's much more democratic.
Yeah.
So I think it's well worth doing. If you want to position your credibility, because look, it comes down to this, like you can't speed up experience. We already spoke about the fact that you can't speed up time. But if you've got expertise, you can definitely communicate expertise.
Right.
So if you feel like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this and I think I can speak about it, here's what I want to speak about. And yes, I'm 24 and I've not worked for a bunch of global brands, and this is as a result of like observation and synthesis in my brain, but I think that's worth something. And somebody could be watching that video, reach out to you, and they could be the next On or the next Hoka or the next Aloe or whoever it may be.
Yeah. From all my deep diving, I've seen that you speak about like I don't know if I'm using Gary V words now, but like documenting the execution and how the easiest way to go about creating content and a story is filming the execution and creating content around that. So yeah, I'm curious about what's the sweet spot? Like how much do you film? What type of stuff should you be putting out? How often for that category?
You know, a really good approach there would be film everything and then take that raw footage to a bunch of different storytellers. So when you think about like documentaries, there have been many documentaries that have been made about the origins of hip hop. Okay?
Yeah.
I think even there's one Hip Hop Origins that Russell Peters produced, right, on Netflix. All that footage exists in libraries and in the public domain and all over the place. And some of that footage you'll see in different places on different documentaries. That footage has been handed over to different editors. I think if you're a brand who's really thinking about how do I start off, then shoot a whole bunch of behind the scenes footage about what's going on in your business. And then obviously curate it and figure out, okay, what am I prepared people to see and what am I prepared to people to not see? And then hand that over to an editor and overpay and just say, I've not curated all this entirely. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what the through line is. I don't know what the narrative is, but I'll pay you, I don't know, $1,000 to watch it all. Then I'll pay you $1,000 to pitch me an angle. And I'll pay you $3,000 to actually do the edit that you pitched me if I like it.
Wow.
So you've staggered your payments and you've also, in the short term, respectfully paid them for their time. I think that's really a good way to do it.
Okay. Would that be like a mini doc or like maybe a mini or a doc in a sense and then break it up into all different types of content?
It's whatever they pitch you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
that's a big investment for whatever their idea is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, look, I just did a shoot in New York with a partner of Microsoft, really incredible founder, and we shot the whole thing on iPhone. Now, all of the footage I went through, and we told a bunch of stories as a result of the content that we had. But I guarantee if I'd handed over those, 150 gigabytes to somebody else, they might have told a different story. Which one will perform the best? We only know once it kind of goes out there. So I did what was done with, I did what we were asked to do within our scope and our remit, but somebody else might do it differently. The point is that you have the library first.
Right.
You don't worry about shooting with an intention to edit something. If you've got something interesting going on, let's just say you're going to do like, you're here in Dubai, you want to do your first Ironman or your first powerlifting. I don't know what you're into, but let's just say you want to do something like that. Then you document the 3 days leading up to it. Now you have that in the can. That can't be taken away from you. What you do with that, if anything, is up to you. But the main thing is that you have the raw source material.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that's what holds me back is me feeling like I need to come up with the end game of like what the overall vision is so then I don't do anything.
Yeah.
But if
you
it's
don't
like
need
just
to do that.
film
Yeah.
and then you can edit into a story later.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I want to answer the thing about ACE for you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So ACE is ACE, and it's the 3 ways that content can actually generate a result for you. So A stands for activate, which means I'm putting out content to activate an audience, aka take them from not knowing me to knowing me. Then you've got C, which stands for convert, which is I want to take an audience that knows me into an audience that spends with me. And then you've got E, which is empower, which is I want to take people that are spending with me and help them find other people to spend with me. Because one of the most common truths that I believe in is that your next best customer is on your current best customer's WhatsApp or iMessage. So E is empower. How can I make content specifically not to take people who don't know about me to knowing about me or know about me to spending with me, but people that are currently spending with me? What do they need from me to go and find other people like them? Then that E goes round in a circle and goes back to A, because you're empowered customers with your content. Like you've empowered customers with your content that are now empowered to go and activate people for you. And that's how you end up with that loop.
Okay. What's an example for the empower? Because I don't like even for me, at the top of my head, I'm like, okay, maybe like affiliate links or something. But what's like some really valuable ways to empower them to?
So it depends on what you're looking to invoice for. But you've seen that video, Who is Raj Kotecha, right?
Yeah.
Now you're empowered. Now if you're in Montreal or you're in Madagascar, if someone has a meaningful conversation with you, being like, I've got this budget and I've been asked to look for a speaker for this, but I need somebody who's like not too old, not too young, has experience in a couple of sectors. I need somebody who's kind of like, who can speak on those things, can go up there and do 20 minutes and a bunch of Q&A. You've got two options. Number one, send them over like a janky ass WhatsApp card, like Raj, open brackets, Dubai, dash, Flo's friend,
Yeah.
Or you can be like, here's a video of him in 44 seconds. You're empowered.
Okay.
And I've empowered you. And I made that video, or I cut that video out to empower anybody who is kind of into what I'm into and kind of into what I do, so that they don't have to try and communicate what I do. They can just be like, here's what he does.
Okay.
I was doing an interview for Esquire Middle East. And at the beginning of the interview, and it's a double-page spread, the guy was like, I kind of know what you do, but I don't really know what you do. And if you were at a cocktail party, how would you explain what you do?
I saw that one.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, cool, novel. But then I thought to myself, strategically, do I want to be here again? Do I want to be on a massive platform like Esquire? And the person interviewing me doesn't truly have a grasp of what I do. Now look at the difference. And this is the reason why today's interview with you is more valuable than the Esquire one. Is that you've got loads of content and loads of context about me.
Yeah.
So now, we didn't do like some fluffy, fancy intro.
No, we could dive in. Yeah.
Right? Whereas with Esquire magazine, I was like, well, I did this in LA and I did this over here and this over there. You use up some of that valuable time.
Right.
And we don't have time to waste.
Yeah.
When that vortex is open, which is that 1 hour that I'm sat with Esquire, you don't want 20 minutes of it to just be like laying the foundation and giving that person clarity as to who you are.
I'll do that in my intro. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Yeah,
I've heard your intros. They're amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, the awareness like stimulates the empowerment in a sense. So you just create something like, okay.
And it also prevents dilution. Like if I give you 3 sentences on what I do right now, in 3 months, you won't be able to recite them on a beach in Bali, word for word. But they're only effective if they're word for word. Yeah. So why don't I just give it to you pretty packaged with a bow on top in your WhatsApp? Yeah. Ready for you to forward should you meet somebody who's got an opportunity for me. And me the same now as a result of our conversation today. We had a conversation about like, I can see you doing like moderating panels or hosting on stage or something like that. Now I'm not like, oh, you should meet her, here's her Instagram, I'll just send them this interview between me and you and be like, I'm telling you she's bright. Yeah. But here's a video of her having a conversation with me. You can check out for yourself. And if you want an intro, you can either DM her, she may see it, she may not, or you can message me and I'll ask her for an intro. Yeah. Yeah. It's so we kind of empower each other in moments like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm curious about monetization because I feel like there's so many different steps of the process that people could have down packed. So some people can't even get to the content part. Like they're overthinking it all. Some people have that. They have their content calendar. They're executing every single day, but they're not hitting that monetization area. What are some places you think, or like some strategies you think are like overhyped, don't even bother, or ones that people are not paying attention to that they should invest more time into? One of the best strategies you can have is to go to a bunch of different businesses with whatever you've done. Okay. And say, I've done this. How could this help you grow your business? Because we can sit on our couch at our desk and be like, I've been posting consistently every day for 7 days. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Why is nothing happening for me? Why am I not getting sponsors on my podcast? Why am I not getting influencer deals? Why am I not being invited to the next hot restaurant? Go and ask them. This is what I've done. This is my YouTube channel. This is my Instagram. This is my TikTok. And they might be like, video's a bit long, or it's a bit cheap, or I don't like the way that you use that language, or I don't like this, I don't like that, or, loads of people are commenting on your content, but you're not replying to their comments, which means that you don't really care about engaging with them. And the businesses will tell you. You've got to get close to your customer. Interesting. Okay. So like in your experience, they give real feedback of what you need to improve. All of them won't, so you need to go to more of them. Okay. You need to go to butcher, baker, candlestick maker, dog walker, hotel, restaurant, the company that does, the skydiving over Dubai, and be like, this is what I do. Is there any version of what I'm doing or any aspect of what I'm doing that you think I could do for you?
Okay.
And they go, wow, your editing style is amazing. I know this editing style is in. Could you make us a video like this? Or you're really strong making eye contact with the camera. We actually need somebody to host this video series for us. So if we take like, Skydive Dubai, for example, they might be like, we need somebody who looks and sounds like you to do a useful guide about what happens from the moment you pull up in our car park to the moment you leave with a USB stick of your flight, of your skydive with us.
Okay.
We need someone to explain those steps, and we need them to explain it in 6 minutes. Why 6 minutes? Because everybody spends an average of 8 minutes in our waiting room, and we think it'd be great to run that video so that they know what to expect.
Okay. Like creating content for brands or even integrating brands into your content.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the customer that's watching your content is shared with that brand. So you can't be like, hey, I just want you to do this for the sake of doing it. You need some sort of evidence to say, this audience, I have them engaged. I've had this saying, he who owns the customer is king. If you can say that this podcast is going to go out to this many people that are interested in this podcast, and this is what I know about them, then brands are going to be much more likely to work with you. And if you have that data, you don't need the quantity of people watching the content. So for example, I remember this was one day, I was with a client of mine, really talented girl, and she was on stage moderating a panel. And when she got off stage, we were walking back to the green room, and one of the people that she was moderating was the managing director of Spotify. So we're just walking back to the green room, making conversation. Obviously, I'm a DJ. He's obviously high up in the music game. We get into a bit of a combo. Combo was very pleasant. And I said to him, hey, dude, listen, nice to meet you. If you, by the way, I do events. We've got this one event over here, kind of like just chill, 15 co-hosts. They all bring their friends, different backgrounds, and we just have a drink, and it's just a cool vibe. It's called My Friends, Your Friends. He was like, are you kidding? And I was like, oh, crap, I've just offended, like, the managing director of Spotify. Like, he's a super exec. He must be like, I've got no time, right, for stuff like that. And he's like, I've been part of My Friends, Your Friends for years. And I was like, and I remember calling up my cousin, Vic, my partner in the business. I was like, yo, do you know that the managing director of Spotify is actually part of My Friends, Your Friends? And then I was like, yo, we need to open the database. Because, again, to your point, like, is it a not-for-profit? Like, it's beyond a not-for-profit. It's not for cents. Like, I just did it and paid for it in my own pocket.
Yeah.
So I opened up the database, and I'm like, holy crap, there are people here from, like, Boston Consulting Group and this. I was like, we've got some real powerful, smart people in our database. Now, if I launch a podcast, or if I choose to distribute my podcast to that audience, I can tell whichever brand I'm working with, hey, this person's on the database. And because of softwares like Kit.com or MailChimp, I can actually even tell you if that person opened the email.
Yeah.
How valuable is that, you know? So, and then if they have opened up the email, because I've got so much permission with them, because I brought them My Friends, Your Friends, or I sent them this podcast, there's even a chance that I can pick them up and call them and be like, hey, listen, I saw that you opened this email that I sent you, and I saw that you clicked on the podcast. Did you watch it? Yeah, okay, good. Thanks for watching it, and let's have a discussion about some of the parts that you liked, take some feedback. You might have seen that this company was the sponsor of the podcast. Well, I let them know that you, title alone, not by name or phone number, but title alone, that you're on our database. And they actually asked if I could make a request, and this is the reason why they want to talk to you. Would you be up for that? And I'm telling you, they're cool because they sponsored the podcast, and they're behind my whole content ecosystem. Would you be up for that? 99 times out of 100, they'll be like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because I've given so much.
Right. In your other interviews, I think somebody brought it up that they would like to be speaker, or like you were even talking about some of your clients that say they want that, and you're like, based off what? Like, what are you talking about? And I feel like even for me, like that was kind of always a dream, like doing talks, moderating, writing a book, like that's a part of the like ultimate vision. But I was like, at what point do you think is someone's ready? Let's say like me, where it's like, you could be in a position to moderate, or now you could be in a position to do a talk. Like ask yourself these types of questions, or make sure, you have this in place. Like, I don't even know how to approach exploring that.
Okay, so the place that you get the most moderation is at conferences. The biggest conferences in every industry are quite easy to find, because you can literally type in biggest conference in hospitality, biggest conference in technology. If you type in biggest conference in technology, you will probably come across Collision or Web Summit.
Okay.
All of their sessions are on YouTube. All you need to do is look at the thumbnails and see, where is there a situation where there is more than one person being spoken to, i.e. a moderated panel. So one person moderating a discussion between two people or a conversation between 4 industry experts. And then you watch that and you critically look at the person who's moderating the panel and ask yourself, what did I think of this? And why did I think that? If you think it was a really, really good panel, you've got to ask yourself, why did I think it was a good panel? Were the questions leveled the right way? Did the questions complement each other? If there was a moment of tension between 2 people on the panel, how did that person resolve or amplify that tension? How complicated were the questions? How long were the questions? How many questions did they get over in the 45 minutes that they had? What was the pace? How did they involve humor? And again, you can ask yourself, or you can maybe even ask Gemini or ChatGPT, what makes a good moderator? Deep dive, take all those notes and then start watching panels and go through and tick off and say, what is it? You could definitely do it. Like you could do it today.
Okay.
You may not be the greatest at it, but a combination of what I just said plus time on stage, which is like flight hours for a pilot, nothing's going to stop you. The biggest opportunity in this city as well, I think right now, is somebody like yourself who just skims on top of this infrastructure. So right now we're in Podster, which is, they've got, 7 or 8 studios in the city. And you just go to different brands and say, this is me. These are the subjects I can speak on. What are you into? Wellness, yoga, Pilates, spirituality, all that good stuff? Okay. So you approach every single yoga studio and say, we can do this one of 2 ways. Number 1, you can start your own podcast and I'll commit to a dozen episodes and I'll interview you, the founder. Or I have my own brand over here, a podcast, where you can jump on there. It's a dedicated yoga podcast. It's not this one. It's not Breaking the Mold.
Okay.
It's a separate one. And it's completely a pay-to-play podcast. You give me this much money, I'll set everything up. You don't have your own podcast platform. I'll distribute it over here so that other people can listen to it if they want to. And I'll cut you up all the micro clips. And off you go.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many opportunities.
It's too easy, especially in Dubai.
I was going to say, do you think Dubai is specifically like there's specific opportunities that are on the rise in this city compared to like London, where I feel like London, LA, New York, such saturated markets. Like, I don't know how I
think Dubai is
get to play.
Dubai is the greatest modern city in the world.
Yeah.
I think once you say that statement, it's very difficult to argue with. The greatest modern city in the world. Where you do get pushback is when you say to people, it's the greatest city in the world, or it's the greatest this in the world. Or you start focusing on the superficial stuff like tallest tower, biggest mall. It's not important. What's important is the fact that when you walk around these streets in the day or at night, you will bump into people that are enthusiastic, that have been where you've been, as in like they all remember, 90% of the people here have come from overseas. So that means that pretty much 90% of that 90% remember what it's like to land, get their Emirates ID, pay their first electricity bill, get their driver's license. They know. So there's automatic empathy with 90% of the people that you meet.
Right.
So when you say to somebody, and you've probably experienced this, like when they ask you, how long you been here? And you go 90 days. And they go, newbie, do you need anything? Can I connect you to anybody?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like every single person I meet, it's like, just let me know if you need anything. I'm like, what is this culture? Like, I mean, there's nowhere else in the world you're going to go where people are offering help and so open with information. I've never seen anything like it.
And what's the biggest criticism of Dubai? Lack of culture.
Right.
But you ask somebody, what's it like? And people say, there's a culture here of helping people and being ambitious and being driven. And yet stupid people overseas say there's no culture. Both cannot exist at the same time.
Right.
You cannot have a deep, rich Arab regional Emirati culture and a culture of ambition and helping people and safety and connectivity and ambition and tolerance and forward thinking. And also have a third thing, which is there's no culture. Those things do not make sense.
Right.
You have to come here and experience it. And I think one thing that Dubai and the people of Dubai have done really, really well is around COVID time, I saw the switch. Dubai people don't care what people outside Dubai think about them. They've just stopped caring.
Okay.
Before, you'd go back to London or go somewhere and they'd be like, yeah, but Dubai is this, Dubai is that. And you'd be like, oh, defend. No one cares anymore. Think what you want about Dubai. Unless you're coming here and setting up and committing, it doesn't matter what you think because you're not here to play this game. This game is for people that want to play a future game. If you're looking to come here and have everything established, your favorite restaurants here, your this is that, you might not get it because those things are maybe still on the way. But there are great alternatives alongside the things that you love in your home country, and everything else is coming too. Like when I first came here, it wasn't super common that every Saturday morning you go to Kite Beach and there's a bunch of people doing yoga on the beach.
That's what I did last weekend.
Now you can walk down Kite Beach, throw your phone over your shoulder, and you'll hit a yogi in the head. And it'll probably bounce off that yogi and hit another one.
Yeah.
Right? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You've now got farmers markets and Right Market and so many other amazing things. Museum of the Future. They're literally building it in front of you and opening the doors, and you can go in and see a robot dog walking around. You're just not going to get that in some shitty place elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. Just the sense of opportunity, like us even speaking about like, oh, you can moderate, whatever I was saying. I'm like, I don't feel like if I went to any of these other big cities and I'm just starting, like most of the people in those positions have like 15 years behind them. Or like here, the opportunity feels fresh and the people are willing to help and collaborate like we're talking about. So yeah,
I mean,
there's definitely some soul here.
We've spoken about this. You only need like 5 Raj Kotechas on your phone in Dubai to be really successful here. Okay. Like now that we've spoken about you thinking about moderating, and we'll speak more about it when the cameras are off, but if that's something you genuinely want to do, I'm going to be thinking about that for the next 6 months. Yeah. Like not in the sense that I'll be going around like handing out flyers with your face on, but somebody might mention like, I need a moderator, I've not got much of a budget, or I need someone who can do it for free. I'll say to them, I know somebody, but do me a favor. If I connect you to her, hire a camera person. At least let her walk away with the footage of her doing it. Yeah. And they'll be like, well, I guess if I hire a camera person, yes, I can give her the footage, and I guess I'll have a copy for myself for the next year when I'm doing my promo for next year's conference. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, done. Yeah. And it starts there. You can literally just like get a spark going with 2 bits of dry wood. And I've seen it happen with my clients and other people that in 2, 3, 4 years, they're like crushing it. The kind of progress that would genuinely take 5 to 10 times that in a mature market like London, New York, or LA. Right,
exactly. Wanted to talk about something actually. You mentioned distractions. I feel like you were like vulnerable about the fact that you've got pulled off your path before. And I feel like I'm somebody that's like that because I'm such an emotional person that like I'll have a goal and then this thing will happen in life and that thing, or like other ideas will come about. So I was kind of curious your perception on distractions and like when to gauge if getting off your path is actually worth it.
I don't know when the exact time is, but I'll tell you one thing that has worked really well for me. I've kept relationships with people who have started off interning with me and then have gone on to become bosses in their own right and people that I respect. And I find that their opinion right now over-indexes with me and becomes extremely valuable. I was having a heated debate with this young kid that he's probably 15, 16 maybe when I first met him. He did a whole bunch of interning with me. We flew around, did so many cool things together. He was making content with me. And I remember one time I pitched him something, because I'll ring him now and be like, yo, I'm thinking about this and you know me, you'll keep it real with me. And he said, he just screamed, he was like, it's not a real business. It's just another problem you found that you want to fix. And I was like,
is that not business though? Solving a problem?
No, but he was like, just do this thing. Cause I had other things going on. Okay. And I was like, should I pursue this? And truth be told, I couldn't even tell you if I still remember what the business idea was. But he was like, it's not a real business. It's just another problem you found that you want to fix. And I was like, oh God, it's the fact that I think I could solve this problem and it'll give me an ego boost is the reason why I'm attracted to it, not because it will deliver me the most value and allow me to buy another house. And really where I need to be focusing now, after 25 years plus of doing this, is actually where am I investing my time and what assets can I acquire and like what can I build that's going to be valuable along the way? Because if I can't build a bigger platform, whether it be like in terms of wealth or my popularity or how many people know me or how much impact I can make, well, then I can't help other people. Like, you're not really special if you ascend through business or you become particularly good at athletics. It's not really special. There are some people that are born better than you without trying, right, when it comes to business or athletics or whatever. What is good is if you can find a little plot of land somewhere where there's no running water and bring it to them. Or there's, you know, a hospital without a roof and you go, yeah, you know, I can easily pay for that roof. Let's get it done. I think that's really what's quite impactful, because you then build something which is scalable that can help lots of people.
Okay.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about the different points in my history that have allowed me to be what I am. And I'm like, yeah, I could probably go back to each one of those points and make a little bit of a difference. Like, I'm an East African Indian, which means that I'm Gujarati by blood, so I'm from North India. But my parents moved with the Brits to Africa. Well, my grandparents moved with the Brits to Africa. My parents were born in Africa and then moved with the Brits back to England, and I was born in England. So I'm like, yeah, well, there's at least 3 places there where I could help people. I could help all the working class kids coming up the way that I came up in the UK. And I don't mean brown kids, I mean kids, period. Then I could help people in Africa, Africans and otherwise. And then I could help people in India, Indians and otherwise. Because without each one of those things working out really well for my family over a period of 3 generations, then I wouldn't be here today. And when I say working out really well, it's not as if we won the lottery in every country, but we just made it through
right.
that generation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think now we're at the stage where, you know what's really scary? I don't think any brown person would ever tell you this, but actually being born Indian is like winning the lottery.
Okay. Love that.
It genuinely is. And especially if you're like East African Asian born in the UK or Canada or America, it's literally like winning the lottery, because your grandparents were raised colonized. Your parents were raised in a colony, which was not theirs and not the colonizers, aka Africa. And then we were born in the country of the colonizer, which is England. So 3 generations of knowledge have been passed down to us. You basically are born with every single software app that you need in your brain to thrive, as well as a culture that's thousands of years old, a language, spices, foods, dance, music, religious texts. It's been pretty easy, to be fair. Like, I've come from very little. There are way more people that had less than I did. But actually, when I look at it and I look at what other people have gone through, I'm like, God damn, like being born Indian is like winning the lottery. Like being born East African Indian and Gujarati as well. Like, I don't know if you know much about the specific part of India that we're from.
I don't, yeah.
We're basically business people. The vast majority of people have it in our blood, which is the reason why I don't get freaked out in any business context. I was raised in a shop, like on the counter of a shop. So if you look at the world that we're in today, where entrepreneurship is almost like being a new pop star.
Right.
Like, we look at entrepreneurs like rock stars now, and that's already in our DNA. It's kind of like a big, easy win. And I have to look at the fact that being born Gujarati is a form of privilege, and I have to do something to give that back, because as I explained to you, if I've earned it, I'm going to keep it. But if it was given to me, I'm going to give it away. So what can I give away from my culture in terms of how we collaborate, how we work together, how we help each other, how we connect people to each other, how we negotiate and barter? How can I scale that to people that were maybe not born with that cultural advantage? And it almost, I'm worried as I say it to you, not because you're white, but because it sounds racist. It almost sounds like saying like, yo, like, I have a privilege. Like being Gujarati and being brown is a fucking huge privilege today.
No, I feel like you're in the beginning of rebranding it and like putting a brand story behind your background that empowers it and gets people excited to be a part of it. Like, there's been a lot of other cultures that have done that have rebranded their race, their culture, and made it cool, rebranded their city. Like, I haven't heard anybody speak the way you just did about your culture. And it's like, why not be that person?
And if you meet anybody that like gets cool with Gujaratis and starts rolling with us and starts doing business with us and hanging out where we hang out, most times things work out pretty good for that person. Because once you get pulled into our culture and you get embraced and people start putting their arm around you, being like, oh, you should meet my friend, even if they're from outside the culture or they're from a different race or whatever, once you're in, you're in. And then positive things happen. Yeah. Because we are, you know, like the Italians, like the Irish, we are a community people. We are a collectivist people, which means we want to look after people. We don't order our dishes individually. We order for the table, and everything goes down the middle of the table. And then you've got 600 cousins and 400 aunts and everything trickles down in terms of like authority from the grandparents on downwards. And it just works. It's chaos. and it's traumatic and it's stunningly wild, but it does work. You know what I mean? It's like if you look at like a beehive, you can't see it from outside other than just this franticness. But yet there's honey being produced all the time. And I think that's basically what it is to be Gujarati.
I love that. Oh my God, there's so many things. First of all, like the collective mindset. When I left, I was telling you I was in LA for 10 years and even Canada, but like such formative years in LA. When I left, the first thing I was saying was like, I just need to get away from this culture. And the culture that I was referring to is like this individualistic culture. And I kind of just stuck with that and felt like I needed something different. And I feel like I'm already tapping into something different here. And then I was explaining to somebody that that's what I was trying to leave behind. They're like, what do you mean? Like they were born and raised in the Middle East, so they didn't really understand what I meant by individualistic culture. But I feel like you're explaining it right now, just on like a basic level, what it feels like to don't order your own plate, you order for the table. Like these types of traditional values that I feel like have gotten lost, to like repopularize them, bring them to the surface is important. Like I feel like we need this for our soul.
Yeah, and by the way, as brown people, we can't take all the credit for it. If you look at the Irish who are like, like white people League One, right? And then you've got like
League One.
Yeah, as in like that's like one of the factories, right?
Yeah, okay.
Then you've got like Italy, Spain, Greece, Cyprus. They all produce like deep family people. They're not necessarily Middle Eastern or South Asian or Asian or East Asian, but you start seeing it from around somewhere in Europe onwards. And I think it's just a very beautiful thing, because the internet layered over the society that we have right now and the place in like civilization that we are right now has done one of two things. It's either made people go into the comments and be like, I don't agree with you, you're not shit, and argue in a place where there's no need to argue. Or it's made people go, yeah, you know what, I do want to go for a 10 a.m. rave in a coffee shop, and those people look like they enjoy the things that I enjoy, and they go there by themselves and they end up making friends. It's not one or the other, but I think the pockets of collective culture and community culture that the internet has allowed to come to the forefront is a very beautiful thing about where we are today.
I was going to say, do you feel like does it come from your culture, or did you decide on your own that giving back is a part of your value system? Because I feel like it's interwoven into all your decisions.
All Gujaratis experience debt at some point if they've gone on the journey that the East African Gujaratis have gone on, which is that I can tell you for a fact that when my dad landed in the UK, if it wasn't for other people helping him, he would have like been on the street.
Okay.
Like straight up, because there are just times where you land in the early 70s and certain things just don't make sense. My dad told me a story this year, which was incredible. He landed in the UK the first time ever. He was 19 years old. He was jet lagged. He went to, I think, from the airport to a fast food place. His older brother took him. He ordered some meat, like some chicken. His older brother, who had moved prior to him, was like, when did you start eating meat? He goes, yeah, I've been eating it for a while. He ate, went back to the house, and then jet lag caught him and he went to sleep. He woke up at 7 p.m. and he apologized to his older brother for eating and sleeping through the night. He goes, oh my God, it's the next morning. And he goes, it's not the next morning, it's summer. It's still light at 7 p.m.
Right.
But my dad, being where he is in the hemisphere and whatnot in Africa, didn't know that, it could be 7, 8 o'clock at night and the sun still be bright like it's the middle of the day. So everybody's received some help at some point. And I think that's the reason why people feel indebted, because reciprocation is coded into us. And I think that's what makes Dubai beautiful, is that I reckon that most people that have come here have had somebody help them. I mean, you and I have met as a result of somebody that's helped you and me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, whilst I've had, I've started to like do a bit of research on what you do and things of that nature, I've not had the most chance to do that. But I just know that the guy that introduced us is a surefire tastemaker that you can pretty much bank on whatever he says. And then the little bit of time that we spent together, I'm like, yeah, maybe by me being on your podcast, I can open up some doors for you, and at the same time save myself time, so that if I ever talk to anybody about you, I can be like, just check out our chat together.
Yeah.
Or here's a 30-second clip of us talking.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into what she's doing. I think you should probably give her a chance.
Yeah. That reminds me of kindness, because that was something you spoke about too. I don't feel like that's spoken about enough as a top value. I forget what the question you got asked, but you spoke about kindness and the importance of it. And I feel like just like giving back, or even what you're expressing to me right now, is so deeply rooted in true kindness. So I wanted to hear your perception on that, kind of where you feel like that is in the world right now, and how people should reframe it and integrate it into their lives.
Well, firstly, you have to recognize that kindness is just gratitude that's fermented.
Okay, I want to hear more.
Well, if you've found yourself being grateful for a really, really long time, you can't help but be kind to others, because you are very cognizant of the fact that good things have happened to you. And so therefore you cannot logically be the creator of bad things for other people, because you're conscious of the fact that good things have happened to you. So, you know, the fact that every day I get to drink probably some of the best coffee in the world, whether I make it at home or I buy it at the end of a lunch somewhere, that's going to compound after a while, where you're like, God, I get to drink great coffee every single day. So now you might think to yourself, okay, well, you know what? Life's pretty good. I'm just going to do something nice for somebody else. Maybe I'll take them to a coffee shop where I like coffee, or maybe I'll just tip the guy who works in the washroom handing out towels. But you're just constantly in this state of like, my goodness, good things are happening to me. I can't just hold on to it. And I have spoken about this before as well, which is that if you hold on to all the good things that have happened to you, they actually do turn toxic. So this thing of like joy, luck, it's like water. It's only good and stays fresh and nutritious if it's moving. If it becomes still, it gets poisonous. AKA, if loads of good things flow into your life and you hold them, then they will go off and they will get algae and mold and eventually poison you and become a dam that's completely undrinkable. Whereas if you just let that water pass through you, you do what you need to do with it and then hand it on to the next person. Like, you've had that opportunity, you've made that contact, it's not for you, you give it to somebody else, they then benefit from it. What happens then, even more comes towards you. That's how I feel like things have happened. Imagine this, I'll show you my phone right now.
Okay.
It's over there, but like,
Yeah.
at a guess,
Okay.
7,000 people in my phone.
Okay.
How many of them do you think I call? 1/1000th? So probably call 7 people
Okay,
on
I was
a
gonna
regular
say,
basis.
yeah, I was gonna say like 3.
Yeah, I think,
Like the
yeah,
most
I think
consistently, you
my
know?
favorites on my home screen on my iPhone is probably maybe 8 people.
Okay.
So that means that 99.9%, quite literally 99.9% of people on my phone, I'm not calling. That's, I don't know, that's billions of dollars worth of value to other people if I stitch them and make those connections.
Right, yeah.
So you've got to be, you'll find it very easy to be kind if you focus on being grateful.
I love that. That's the first time I've heard a definition like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really happy. I wasn't even sure if I was going to ask that question, and I'm so happy I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. I say the same thing about fear. Like, fear without judgment is completely non-toxic. Like, you take the judgment out of fear.
Okay.
Am I actually fearful about what will happen on the other side of this, or not working in my favor? Or am I fearful about what other people's reaction will be to that failure?
And if that is the answer, what do you think somebody should tell themselves in that moment?
Either do it in private,
Okay.
whatever it is that you're trying, do it anonymously, set up that Shopify shop and start selling, and don't tell people about it, and don't go to your friends and family for help. Or do the opposite, which is start that Shopify store, let everybody you know that you've started it, take their help and get on board. And if it fails, the people that criticize you, just make a note. Make a note for next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People will be like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? And if you've got a little bit of an ego like I have,
Yeah.
throw it in their face. Like, there was this guy when I was working in retail. I remember I was doing well at retail, very well. And people were like, why are you leaving? Everyone was confused. Why are you leaving? You can just sell phones all day long on this shop floor. And it got to the stage whereby it was like that closing window where it's like, okay, you can't basically take back your resignation after this point.
Yeah.
And I remember we were walking around the shop floor, and he put his arm around me, and he's like, yo, you sure you want to leave, man? You're doing well here. And, you know, these are like career salespeople, people that have worked in a retail store for, you know, like a Best Buy kind of store for 20 years. They were like, you know, you could do well here, become manager, etc., become an area manager. I was like, nah, I really want to consult. And he goes, it doesn't sound that smart, mate. I think you need experience to be able to consult, don't you? And now, 25 years later, I'm like, fuck you, Matt.
Yeah. You remember those things.
I'm like, I'm a course director for the Chartered Institute of Marketing. It worked out. You have to keep those kind of moments in your head and use them to drive you, because if you don't, then you're completely shit out of luck. Somebody needs to generate that belief. And you can't expect other people to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself first.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the platform from which other people can believe in you.
For sure. I feel like you've done so many things. You're ambitious. You've accomplished so much. But I'm always curious to tackle the concept of success and like what our definition of that is. I feel like it's ever evolving in our society, but like how we internalize it comes out to play, like how we judge ourselves, let's say, and you're talking about ego, things like that. But I'm curious, like, let's say everything were to disappear, like everything you've ever done, everything you've ever accomplished, the titles, all that stuff. Like, what would be the one thing that would make you feel like you still lived a meaningful life?
The memories. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have the business today and everything else that goes with it, the memories and what I've learned from there and how quickly I can reapply it again would be the whole move for me.
Okay.
Like, and it's also happened as well. What's interesting about this whole like starting again thing is that when I was 19 years old, when everybody else was like going on their first university summer vacation, partying, doing whatever they need to do, going back to their hometowns, I packed my bags and went to America. So I was in New York, Chicago, New Jersey, and I went up to Toronto in 99. But in America was like where I spent the majority of my time, and Wisconsin. Sorry. So at that time, I was like, okay, well, I've spent all my money that I had left at university. Now I go into my second year with no money again. At 23 years old, when the dot-com bubble burst, I moved to Toronto and started again. Toronto went really well, ended up on TV there doing a campaign with Rogers Wireless and Sony Ericsson. Everything was going super well. Came back to London, started again. From London, I did maybe a decade, came back to Dubai. My sister had a one bed. She was kind enough to let me sleep on a mattress in the floor. Whilst at the same time, I've got an apartment in London and a black Mercedes and everything is good. And started again. And I feel like forcing myself to start again when it was completely not necessary gave me a certain amount of resilience for when a Brexit or COVID or something else like that comes along, where I'm like, oh, well, I've already done these forced resets for no reason. Now there's a real forced reset. I'm not experiencing it for the first time.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the things is that, okay, yeah, you could technically lose everything today, but I would actually recommend as well that it's probably worthwhile either giving everything up and starting again, whether it be like going into a different direction in your career, right the way down to just like a 2-day silence retreat or whatever, but some sort of thing that disconnects you from the good and the bad momentum of what you're facing at the moment. So I think if I lost everything today, it would be a really good time of reflection to be like, okay, well, the last thing I want to do to get to where I've got to in the last 25 years is invest another 25 years. So what's the highlight reel? What's the things that worked? And then focus on applying those things again. But ultimately, that doesn't mean you're going to get back to success. Success is just feeling happy with what you've achieved.
Okay.
That's all that success is, really.
Okay.
Like, it's not much more than that. It's just, I did this. I'm happy with how it worked out. You know, you went to university. Maybe you didn't get the exact grade that you wanted. You got the one below it, or you thought you'd only get the one below it, but then you fluked it and got one higher. However it played out, it's just being happy with how things worked. That's a success.
Yeah.
Because going back and resenting and I wish I would have, could have, then you're not going to feel in any which way successful if you're resentful.
Yeah. No matter what you accomplish, probably ties back into your gratitude. No matter what you accomplish, you could still feel unsuccessful. Like there's people that have millions, billions of dollars and they still don't feel that fulfillment within. So it probably ties back to one of your values you're talking about and being gratitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, one last question.
Sure.
If you could break the mold on one thing, what would it be?
If I could break the mold on one thing, what would it be? I think a lot of people take up causes that end up hurting them. They end up going online hurting other people, attacking other people for things that don't affect them. And I think I would like to break that mold of the amount of power that the mainstream media industry has over how people feel. I'll give you an example. This week on the internet, Kanye West showed up in a black Ku Klux Klan outfit and did an interview for an hour where he was attacking Kim Kardashian and his choice to have children with her. He was attacking Jay-Z, and he was just doing all this kind of stuff. And naturally, the internet was up in a frenzy about it. There was clips of the interview shared all over Instagram. Twitter went crazy, and people just slipstreamed into that. But what happens by the laws of physics is that a vacuum is the presence of nothing, and the vacuum pulls people in. Whilst we all get excited or hyped about the fact that Kanye's done this interview, it's actually nothing.
Right.
And because it's nothing, it pulls people in. So the mold that I would like to break is creating some sort of responsibility, because we're all media companies now, to make sure that we're much more thoughtful about what we draw our audience's attention to, whether it be a small audience, which is just your 34 followers on Instagram, that's mostly your friends and cousins, or whether it's a massive audience like the Shade Room has, or any of these other companies, to be like, yo, what are we really drawing people's attention into? Because we're distracting them from being great. Right. There was a massive interview just now between Gary Stevenson and Daniel Priestley on Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett's show, where Gary Stevenson was making the point, like, listen, unless something really good happens to you, you're going to be poor, stay poor, and you're not going to be able to, like, move through society unless you know like what he knows or what other people know. And I'm like, no, not really, because if you go online right now and learn how like kit.com email works, or how to set up a Squarespace site, or how Zapier works and how to connect different apps, someone like me right now with money will pay you to solve that problem for me. It's not that I can't do it, I just don't have the time to do it.
Right.
So how many people right now could learn one of 15 different apps, whether it be Squarespace, this, that, you know, all the AI apps that are coming out right now, where you couldn't just go to somebody, my name's Kathy, I know how these 15 apps work, from MailChimp to Firefly. I can solve this array of problems. Who's got some money for me? It's outside the job system, but something positive can happen for you. I don't want to just say, oh, this is the mold I want to break. I want to give you an offering of what I would do on the other side of it.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's what I would do on the other side of it. Everybody right now can be their own little mini McKinsey, Deloitte, Accenture. They don't need to put in SAP systems the way that these big consultancies do, but they can just go around and set up your kit.com or your MailChimp or your Dext or your whatever it may be, Zapier, and they're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That was amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. I really had a good time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We must do it again.
We have to. Yeah.